Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers.
And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 16, Episode 50. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being back with us this Friday. Steelers Nation getting ready for Bengals Week Part 2, hoping for a better outcome than the first matchup in which the Pittsburgh Steelers lost. Steelers and Bengals kicking off Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Plenty to talk about today, Dave, to get ready for this game. How you doing?
Yeah, you said episode 50. I feel every bit of 50 this morning for some reason.
Well, that means you're younger, right?
Yeah, I
wish.
Man, some rough nights around here the last couple weeks and all, but yeah, look, I'm excited about this weekend here. This is a big game, not only for the Steelers, but for the Bengals as well too, as they try to climb back into this thing and muddy up the waters even more in the AFC North here. And man, you look around. I don't know how much of that Thursday night game you got to watch between the Patriots and the Jets there. A lot of Patriot envy is coming back into this thing here. Drake May's playing really well. Travion Henderson really looks good at running back there. The defense seems to be playing well. But look, the Steelers got to get the ship rolling in the right direction here with some tough games coming up. They obviously get the Bengals a rematch at home here. So this is shaping up to be a entertaining rematch between the two teams, and we definitely have a few things I think to talk about ahead of our analysis of that.
Bengals consider it must win, and for Pittsburgh, it may not be literally so, but it sure feels like it to get a big divisional victory and not go on another losing streak. Have a great guest to talk Bengals in a little bit. Jay Morrison covers the Bengals for BengalsTalk.com. Heard him before that Week 7 game. Just wrapped up an interview with Jay, and so we'll have that in a little bit for you guys. But Dave, let's you and I start with the health of both these teams, beginning with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A couple guys going in the right direction in terms of Cole Holcomb returning to practice yesterday for the first time in over 2 weeks with that mysterious illness. Isaac Seumalo's been limited throughout the week. Scotty Miller, Jabril Peppers, those guys have worked full throughout the week. They should be available to the Steelers this weekend, although their roles are going to be unclear. Broderick Jones has had a groin injury. He's been limited, but sounds like he's going to go this weekend, which will be big. The guys to watch that did not practice on Thursday, Darius Slay has been out this week with a concussion. Very much doubt he's going to get cleared in time for kickoff. And then Alex Highsmith with a pec injury. He has not practiced Wednesday and Thursday. Have not heard much about him, so I don't know exactly what his standing and status is, but certainly a name to watch on Friday's final report.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex has had a couple of good games here in a row here, or he's really played well since coming back from, what was it, an ankle, I think, there. So hopefully he'll be able to go in some shape or form on Friday here and be able to play. Seumalo feels like he's going to try to give it the old college try once again. And man, the last thing Broderick Jones needs is a groin, but evidently this goes back to what the priest
training camp. The first week of training camp, he got dinged, and apparently it's nagging him still.
Yeah, boy, you don't want to. You hate to hear that about a guy that's still trying to develop over there at such a key position there. And yeah, I'm with you. Slay is going to be interesting to watch if he can get back, especially with with Asante Samuel Jr. lurking. We'll see obviously what happens on Saturday with him. Will Scotty Miller, even though he's full, seem ready to go? Will he be active? And maybe Keyshawn Williams inactive this week here. So a lot of this is going to be determined, I feel, later this afternoon when this Friday injury report gets released, and then we'll get a clearer shot, I think, of what the inactive list will look like on Saturday. Will we see MVS elevated? Will we see Asante Samuel Jr. elevated? Even though Holcomb's back practicing, Will he be up this week? So there are a few question marks. I feel pretty good about Alex Highsmith being able to maybe give it a go on Friday and be okay by obviously Sunday there. I think Broderick Jones goes. I think Isaac Seumalo goes, but and then we mentioned the other day, man, if Corey Trice Jr. doesn't practice this week, you can probably stick a fork in him at this point. And sadly, even though his window is still technically open, I don't got a good feeling about this one, Alex. I have a feeling that window is going to close and he's going to remain on IR.
It seems so. And then Slay, yeah, I just can't see him getting cleared because you got to go through all the steps, which includes returning to practice and then evaluating baseline testing again. I don't think it's all going to happen by Sunday's kickoff. I had this thought, and I'm not convinced of it, but it's a thought in my head. We talked on the Wednesday show about Keyshawn Williams. Could he be inactive in this game if Scantling's elevated, if Miller comes back, which looks like he'll be available in this game? Could Kaleb Johnson get a take two on kick returns next to Kenneth Gainwell if Williams is not going to be the guy back there?
Who? Say it again?
Caleb Johnson, could he get a second chance on kick returns? Because if Williams is going to be inactive, who are your other options? Could be other guys. Roman Wilson, a candidate, but Tomlin has always kind of lingered and said maybe down the road Johnson will get that chance, but maybe this will be the time.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about that, but that is a good point, especially if Keyshawn is inactive. I suppose that would make sense. And
if not him, then who? It could be Roman. I could certainly see Wilson get a chance, but if not him, then I don't know who else is a candidate.
Yeah, something definitely to watch for sure in this, because Kaleb has gotten a couple of touches in. Look, they key point of that game when the Steelers were backed up early there. Kaleb had a couple of runs back to back deep in the Steelers' end, so that's some level of trust right there, right?
Right, he's several weeks now, months removed from that gaffe against Seattle. So we'll see. Just a thought in my head. Might write about it before the weekend, but we'll see come Sunday.
Right. All right. On the Cincinnati Bengals side of the injury report here, the Bengals have opened up the 21-day window on Joe Burrow, but he's not expected to play this week. I think there's some guesstimation of whether it be the game against the Ravens in a couple of more weeks or the game against the Buffalo Bills after that. But his window is open, so he's back practicing. But once again, he's still on IR, and we don't expect to see him activated this week. Looks like Jermaine Burton, one of their wide receivers, not going to give it a go again this week. Not that they need him. Joe Flacco with that right shoulder, something to watch. He did not practice on Wednesday. He was limited on Thursday. I believe our buddy Jay Morrison tells us later in the show we'd probably be surprised if he goes full on Friday there. So that's something to watch. And this goes back before their bye week as well, too. He was banged up quite a bit there. So Joe's going to definitely play in this game, but they'd be wise to not getting banged around a lot in this game, because one hit on this could potentially maybe put Joe Flacco on the sideline. Trey Hendrickson, it looks like the Steelers are going to miss him again. He's got a hip and a pelvis now to go along with, I think it was a back previously with him. BJ Hill was limited due to rest. Lucas Patrick, one of their guards, did not practice. Samaje Perine doesn't look like he's going to go this week. And Shamar Stewart, their young edge rusher, is dealing with a knee. So they might be it sounds like they're going to be without both of their edge rushers in Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart. So they definitely will be missing those guys. But the one maybe to watch, I guess, really, it feels like the guys that we talked about that are limited are going to play. BJ Hill, is just resting, so he'll probably go. But I think really the in game here, the one to watch is Joe Flacco and that right shoulder there, because he was banged up going into the bye week. Obviously had the bye week. They're coming off the bye week, so he got some rest there. But they're going to want to keep him protected this week, I think.
Yeah, one hard hit could take him out of the game. And remember, Jake Browning is the backup who really struggled mightily, which forced the Bengals to scour the earth for a quarterback replacement and then landed on Flacco. The pass rush for the Bengals has been non-existent this season. No Hendrickson, no Stewart hurts them even more. And even Pirine could be a loss. He plays a key role on third downs. And so if he's not available and it's just Chase Brown, who is playing better, the run game much improved from the last time we had this conversation previewing Cincinnati, but Pirine could be a loss.
Absolutely.
All right, Dave, let's go to the coordinators. Arthur Smith, Terrell Austin speaking yesterday, as they always do. Frankly, I don't want to be too Debbie Downer here, but didn't hear a whole lot of intrigue from either individual. We'll start with Arthur Smith, who did not really give much information on what Scantling could do and what his role could be. Kind of took the Tomlin lineup, the practice squatters, the practicing, the working. We'll see. Try to deflect some criticism from Aaron Rodgers, put it more on himself and say, I didn't do a good job and the team has to do a good job. And Rodgers is 1 of 11, but there wasn't a whole lot that I really caught from Smith that was super notable or interesting.
Yeah, not that there ever is, right? But it does seem like they're on double secret probation about MVS. So much so that I'm starting to wonder if he might be elevated on Saturday to. And as we mentioned, look, this isn't some earth-shattering or earth-moving type of decision if you were to activate him, but or elevate him and get him on the field. Even if you do elevate him, as we talked on the show the other day, how much are you going to be able to get this guy on the field? You know, you would think that there'd be a group, personnel grouping or two. Maybe you could get him involved with potentially maybe an 11 personnel with 3 wide receivers on the field, or even occasionally with 2. But this is a team that's struggling to get explosive plays and throw the football down the field. So maybe just his sheer presence in some plays and sending him deep might give you either an opportunity down the field to him or maybe free up DK Metcalf a little bit. And man, they really got to start trying to ways and I guess this plays into what Arthur Smith was asked about. On top of it is, teams know, and it's no secret here, DK's their best wide receiver. They're going to try to clamp him with some double or bracket type coverages as much as possible and force the ball to go a different direction. And Arthur Smith was kind of asked, questions along those lines. How do you help out a guy like DK Metcalf with all the attention that he's getting?
Yeah, and he talked about they tried to move Metcalf around, which I think they did early. It felt a little more static late in the game when Pittsburgh had to throw, but teams still are going to identify Metcalf and take him away, so it's important for the rest of the guys to step up, for Calvin Austin, for the tight ends, of course, the running backs, and Roman Wilson. And maybe the most interesting answer that Smith gave was on Roman Wilson. Said, quote, he's starting to make more plays. He's earned more opportunities. Like all those guys, that's where I see it. It's an ongoing process. He's certainly starting to show signs of his role increasing. And so I'm really going to watch that snap count between Wilson and Calvin Austin this weekend.
Yeah, good point. We talked about that the other day as well, too. What our thoughts on it. And I think Roman, look, a young developing wide receiver here. We saw Calvin Austin coming off a not so good game as well, too. It's not like Austin's not going to see the field, but it will be interesting to see if Roman Wilson can start, getting a little bit more playing time and get a few more targets moving forward here with him. Let me ask you point blank. Do you think they elevate MVS on Saturday? And should they?
I hadn't given a great thought of if they will. I will. It could go either way. I'll say yes, but I don't know what that role is going to look like. But I think you're definitely going to see Roman Wilson see a serious uptick in snaps. He's had a career high with 33 snaps in that first matchup against the Bengals. Granted, I think Austin had missed that game. I think he'll challenge that number, assuming Pittsburgh can run more than 10 plays a game.
Should they elevate MVS?
Yeah, I think it's fine. You want a guy that can create that one big splash play. That's all I'm kind of counting on Valdes-Scantling to do. That's his calling card. It is that go deep. And when you're facing a Bengals team that has been historically bad, we'll talk about them more here later in the show. I think you look for opportunities for those big plays. This offense needs it. They're missing it. And that's a guy that can provide it.
I'm with you on all accounts there. I think they do elevate him. I've been wrong, before, and might be wrong here, but the tone I'm getting is it's more about all these practice. They don't want to talk about him specifically. They want to talk about the group of practice squad. It's almost like they're trying to just downplay and get the talk away from MVS. And I wonder if that's code for we're going to see him elevated. And obviously, if they do, we would think that. Either Scotty Miller or Keyshawn Williams would be inactive, and I guess potentially both. But MVS doesn't give you anything on special teams as far as that goes. But something to watch for on Saturday for sure.
They might be downplaying MBS for the gamesmanship of it all, but also he's new. He's a practice squatter. They're not going to try to hype up a guy that just got here and also trying to learn about. They usually do that more for guys that are more established and have been here longer, and there's just more of a relationship to kind of talk about, what they could provide. I think Terrell Austin made some similar comments about Asante Samuel Jr., saying, we'll see where things stand end of the week. He just got here. Would be asking a lot to have this guy make an impact in game one, in week one with Pittsburgh, because he has not played a down of football since last September. So catching that moving train, getting your legs under you. Samuel spoke with reporters, talked about he did a lot of track stuff to try to, keep his conditioning. But still, even with Darius Slay likely missing in this game, will Samuel be able to get acclimated and be ready for this contest? That's pushing it.
It does feel like it's pushing it. It's a little bit different situation with him and Kyle Duggar, because Duggar was already playing and all, and conditioning and all like that. But Asante hasn't played since week 4 of last season there. So it feels like quite a push, but I mean, stranger thing, you could obviously have him in uniform just as a break glass in case of an emergency situation, or certain personnel groupings on top of it there. So I don't think it's totally out of the question for Asante to be elevated, but I would put the chances of MVS being a little bit higher than Asante. The key component here is Darius Slay. If Darius Slay can't go, what does your depth at cornerback look like?
Sure, that's a good point. I'm just going to bring up the same question. You obviously have Ramsey that you could shift back down the corner, as Pittsburgh did last week whenever Porter went down after Slay was already out. So that might be kind of your backup option at corner, because, if not Samuel, there aren't really any other practice squatters you can call up.
Right.
So maybe he does get elevated. It's not, like you said, not out of the question as a pure backup, but in terms of him having any sort of role out of the gate, I can't see that happening. If anything, it'll be in case there is an injury.
Right. All right. Arthur was asked about the jumbo package and all.
Yeah, I talked to Andres Pete and likes the job that he's done behind the scenes, and noted the false start Pete had on the very first snap. And then beyond that, thought that package was effective, thought Pete did a good job. May become moot if, say, Malu returns, which seems the way things are going. He's tracking towards playing, but that seems to be the approach. If, say, Malu's ever unavailable or a guard is unavailable, where Anderson will retain that sixth offensive lineman role, even if he's playing left guard or right guard or what have you.
Yeah, and if, say, Malu is active, Pete might be back inactive this week anyway, so it might be just a moot point, all the talk and praise about him. I thought he played, other than that first snap, which obviously right out of the chute puts you in a hole 1st and 15 there. I thought Pete played a good game overall there, but all this might be moot if, once again, if Sayamalu's back, and then that way Spencer Anderson can just go back and in that jumbo role.
Terrell Austin, not much from him. Gave some more praise to Patrick Queen, which I'm sure won't make fans happy. I should have mentioned Queen during our All-22 review, and Josh Carney, God bless him, has had to chart the missed tackles for this team, and Queen has been the worst offender by far. Josh has him down for 18 missed tackles already this season, at 21 all of last year, so already close to matching and surpassing that total. Queen has been very much mirroring the play of this team. Pretty poor start, got better in the middle, played some good ball in the middle, and then has regressed in recent weeks. The missed tackle is just really, really an issue for Patrick Queen.
Yeah, and look, you go back to a couple of games ago against the Bengals the first time around. I think he was kind of high on that missed tackle list in that one as well too. I mean, the whole defensive front just let that Bengals team run on them, and ever since that game, the Bengals have been running the football better on top of it. And as we mentioned with Joe Flacco, and the shoulder injuries that he's dealing with, and as Jay tells us a little bit later in this show, they've been leaning into play action a little bit more and having success with that. This front seven, as we hear every week, got to stop the run, got to stop the run. If they don't stop the run in this game early on, and Flacco's able to lean more on that play action, especially with those wide receivers, this they could pop up another 40 in this game, like they have in the last couple of games that the Bengals have had on offense, and the Steelers will have to outscore them. Sounds silly, but that could be the one of the main factors in this game. So you got a task here, because you got a better running game this time around, or at least a running game that's got some traction over the last several weeks here. And then we all know how prominent the wide receiver group is there in Cincinnati. So this is going to be a tough test, and Patrick Queen's got to be on his P's. We've got to see one of the better games this season out of Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson in the middle of this defense.
And then Austin expanded on why missed tackles happen and what's the commonality between those, not on Queen, but just the defense at large. And he says, quote, usually starts with your initial angle. Then it starts with making sure that you get your feet on top of the ball carrier, having your eyes in the right place when you watch it. When guys miss tackles, they overrun it, get their eyes in the wrong place. They're seeing it wrong. I don't question our guys' willingness to tackle. And so Queen will have to clean that up. But Austin still praising his overall play and said he's done, quote, an outstanding job as a communicator. I do think he's looked more comfortable with the green dot this year. There have been fewer communication breakdowns, especially kind of in that hub, that middle of the field where there were issues last year. So that has improved, but Queen has to be much more than just a communicator. He has to be an impact player, and that has been very hit and miss.
All right, a little bit of praise early in this presser with Terrell Austin about James Pierre and all. And look, I think Pierre, when called upon these last several weeks, has played well. He is the kind of guy, though, and look, one of the I can't help but think, but going back in some past matchups against the Bengals, specifically with James Pierre on the field and getting caught on his eyes and looking back in the backfield and all, and how the Bengals have torn him up in the past here. So if Pierre does have to play a higher number of snaps, hope the level of play stays where it's been.
Yeah, agreed. Big task this weekend, big opportunity, though, and Pierre has played great football, had a great game against the Chargers, have a film room up on him this morning on the website, so check that out, but will be needed again against the Bengals. Anything else from the coordinators, Dave?
No, I think we hit on the bulk of it. So he was asked point blank about Asante Samuel, if he'll primarily be an outside guy. He says right now we're just working him on the outside. So, and that's not surprising based on his history and all. So, if Asante Samuel is active on Sunday, and if he plays at all, I would imagine he'll be on the outside.
Yeah, that's what he's done throughout his entire career. Austin said the ball skills, the man coverage ability, the athleticism is something that was attractive about Samuel because of the amount of single high that Pittsburgh plays. So the corners don't often get a ton of help over the top. You need some athletes. You need guys who can play in man coverage, and that's what they think Samuel can provide at some point this season.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dave, let's talk to our friend Jay Morrison, who covers the Bengals for BengalsTalk.com. Be sure to follow Jay on Twitter @ByJayMorrison to give his perspective on the Bengals. Let's take a pause and come back with Jay.
And welcome back to the Terrible Podcast. It is Friday. It is week 11 of the NFL season. It is Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Cincinnati Bengals at Acrisure Stadium on Sunday. Early action this week, 1 p.m. Eastern time here. And as we did a few weeks ago when the Steelers played the Bengals in Cincinnati, we're pleased to have back with us once again Jay Morrison. And Jay's obviously a longtime friend of the show. We've had him on several times over the years to talk Bengals and the Steelers. He, of course, covers covers the Bengals for the Sports Illustrated publication. I believe that's what BengalsTalk.com as well. You can follow Jay on Twitter at by Jay Morrison. So with all that, Jay, welcome back to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on again. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, appreciate you clearing out some time for us again on this Friday, Jay. Look, obviously a big game for both teams here, and you don't want to get into the whole must-win situation or terminology with the amount of games left here and all. But for both teams, really, I mean, the Steelers haven't had a good run the last 3 or 4 weeks here. Obviously, the Bengals are trying to get back into this thing as well. But I mean, it is a big game. The big talk, obviously, this week was with Joe Burrow and his 21-day window getting open. Now, he obviously is not going to play against the Steelers this weekend here. But is this a situation with Joe Burrow that, regardless of what happens these next few weeks, that Joe's going to get back on the field, or is there a situation where maybe if the Bengals lose these next couple, that they just might take it a lot slower with Joe Burrow and not bring him back this season?
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I mean, I certainly see the Bengals losing the next two. That is a very real possibility, but I don't see them sitting Joe Burrow. If the doctors say he is healthy and good to go, I think they're going to put him in there. Joe has said many times, every rep you get is a valuable rep, and that guy is going to want to get out there and play. And I think it has benefit if you get him out there. This offense has operated a little differently with Flacco than it did with Burrow, and they've been under center more, and they've leaned into the play action some more. And I know Joe Burrow has recognized that, and I don't know what's in his head, but he has to be thinking, hey, that it does look different when we embrace that. He's been so just reluctant to go into under center. He loves being in shotgun, surveying the field. It's kind of what he does best. And I think that would be huge, just to kinda get in there and see what it looks like if he goes under center more without the pressure of knowing that you have to win these games to make the playoffs. If they do find a way to win the next two, then, I'm still not certain he's back. He said it would be very meaningful for him to come back for Baltimore, but I think the week after that in Buffalo is probably the more likely timeline.
That's a great point you make about the play action and all, and how he would want to probably embrace and lean into that more. Joe Flacco certainly has, and man, you look at the last 3 games, the points that the Bengals have scored, man. 33 against the Steelers, 38 against the Jets, and look, I know there was some special team stuff and all, and in there as well too. 42 against the Bears and all. I mean, yeah, Joe certainly has fit in and fit in right from the get-go there. Other than the play action, what else have you seen really change on the offensive side of football? I mean, they're running the football fairly decent, and obviously that started against the Steelers several weeks ago there. But anything else you pick up about the offense here since Joe has taken over?
Yeah, it's Joe just kinda saying, I'm getting the ball to Jamar Chase, no matter what. Where Joe Burrow is he says the defense dictates where the ball goes, and a lot of times that's worked out. Obviously, the offense has been great under Burrow, but Flacco he is just feeding Jamar. I mean, he's got 76 catches already. He's on pace for like 140 something. I mean, it's insane, and then that's opened up other things too. T. Higgins has been getting more involved. He's got a touchdown in 8 or 9 straight home games. It's one of the longest stretches in NFL history. He did it against the Steelers. I think that's a big part of it. The O-line playing better overall too, and that comes some with Joe Flacco getting the ball out as fast as he has. I think I saw where he's at 2.3, I believe, the fastest over the last month at time to throw. He's just getting it out. He knows that he's a sitting duck back there if there's pressure. And I think that's the biggest concern coming into this game, if you're a Bengals fan, is these last 3 games have been, yes, just totally impressive offensively. They've also all 3 been at home. Now you go on the road, You've got a great Steelers defensive line that's going to be teeing off. They're going to be going on the Bengals are going to be going on the silent count. The D line's going to be jumping the snap. I think that's the big thing. And Joe's shoulder, he's got that AC joint shoulder. He didn't practice Wednesday. He went limited yesterday. I don't think he'll do much today. One hit on that shoulder, and the Bengals could be turning right back to Jake Browning.
Okay.
Jay, one big difference that started with that Week 7 game against Pittsburgh is the running game that's really come alive for Cincinnati. It was historically bad before Pittsburgh, took them on, and Chase Brown had that fantastic game. What has jump-started this group? Just seems to be better execution. Has anything else changed to unlock this ground game?
I think it has been leaning into the play action. It's caught teams off guard. The Bengals haven't done it a lot, and so I think it's really opened up that offense, and you do have to give credit. They're starting 2 rookie guards. That is hard to do in this league, and the third-round pick, Dylan Fairchild, at left guard is playing really well. And then the right guard, Jalen Rivers, he was a 5th-round pick. He was a tackle in college. He's switched positions. He's had his up and down moments, and he's going to have his hands full with Cam Hayward. But that the fact that those two have stabilized the biggest issue they had on offense has been a big deal. And I just think Chase Brown has kind of hit his stride. The question is now that they're having so much success with the play action, it's kind of the chicken and egg thing. Is it because they're surprising defenses and they're not ready for it, or do they need to lean into it more because they are having so much success and then they stop surprising defense?
Fair point. I want to stick with the offensive line. I missed your last time you talked because my internet was out. It was just day for the interview, and I wanted to ask you this question so much. I know it's a very niche topic, but Orlando Brown Jr. in that stance, that narrow-legged stance, what is going on with that? I heard it helps him with his kick set, but it's the funkiest thing I've seen. What's kind of the background on his stance?
Yeah, he played some games last year with a broken leg, a fractured bone in there, and it's just more of a comfort thing to the stance that he has. It's always been a little funky, but it's gone to a new level. You're right on that, and I just think it's more of a comfort thing. I don't know. He won't say it. I don't know that he's still 100% healthy. So he's played well this year, but not up to the standard that we've seen from him in the past. But yeah, if he thinks it works and the coaching staff, that Scott Peters, the offensive line coach, and they're good with it, I think he's going to stick with it. It does look very strange, and it is. He's one of those guys where you will probably hear the crowd groaning a bunch on Sunday afternoon because he is so perfect on getting off on the snap. It almost looks like he's early, but he's not. He does a really good job of timing that up, and he has to. He's getting a little bit older. He's lost maybe half a step, and that all kind of plays into that.
When you switch over to the defensive side of football, the Steelers look like they're going to luck up and not see Trey Hendrickson again, according to the way things are progressing with him. And then Shamar Stewart, what's going to be the deal with him this week? It doesn't feel like he's going to make it either.
No, he's got a knee injury. Zach Taylor said he's week to week. He said that on Monday. He hasn't practiced yet this week. I haven't even seen him out at practice. So I'd be stunned to see him play this week. And it's just been a lost rookie season for that guy. I mean, he went through the whole thing in the offseason with not signing the contract and the squabble with him and his agent against the Bengals front office. Then he finally gets it done, and he comes in and he looks every bit the part in training camp. He's explosive and he's disruptive and he's great against the run. And then the actual pads come on and the actual games start, and he has not played well at all. It's just been a total lost rookie season for him, and it's huge. This team has no pass rush outside of Trey Hendrickson, and now you don't have Shamar either. It's not like Shamar was being super disruptive, but you're down your top 2 feasibly pass rushers, and Miles Murphy, the 2023 first-round pick, he's good. He's steamrolling toward that bust label. I mean, you make that big jump from year 1 to year 2, and then year 3 is kind of when you really prove who you are, and this is year 3 for him, and the proof is that he probably isn't in their future. He struggles to get pressure, and Joseph Osai has been decent at times, but there's Chris Jenkins, the second-round pick last year, the 3-tech inside. He's not doing anything. It's just you can't win games in this league with no pass rush whatsoever, especially against the Steelers defense. And they somehow did it in week 7, but I think we're going to see a ton of points and yards on this game Sunday.
Yeah, when you look at the defense overall at this point of the season, you generally you are who you are at this point, and
Mhm.
you're right. The pressure rate from Cincinnati is low, and they're not a heavy blitzing team as well either. They usually just stay back, prefer trying not to get the ball thrown over their head. But the tackling has been suspect. I think that's really shown up even more these last 3 weeks. In these games here, and a lot of yards after the catch, as you mentioned here. What can they do defensively to sharpen this thing up? And obviously, they traded away one of their linebackers there, and they've got some young guys in the second level of that thing there. I mean, is this just a mechanics thing? They've just got to start tackling better and get people to the ground, and that will solve half their problem there.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it is there's just that game-winning touchdown against the Bears. I mean, the safety comes up and just kinda throws his shoulder into Colston Loveland. You get him on the ground, and they have to kick a 50-some-yard field goal to win the game. They just I know it's being taught. The technique's being taught. It's been taught since these guys were in high school. They're just not wrapping up, and, going for kind of the big highlight hit. The angles are bad, the eyes are bad. You expect that. I mean, they got 2 rookies starting at linebacker after they had benched Logan Wilson, even before they traded him, and that's kind of their plan. Hope and wait, and see if these rookies can develop into something. I think if you would put these 2 rookies on a really good defense, you could have masked them a little bit and let them grow into the role, but man, they're just out there, and every mistake is exposed, and I don't know what they can do. I don't see any kind of fix. The trade deadline's over. There's nobody other than Trey Hendrickson that is a difference maker that's hurt right now that's going to come back. There's no bench guys that you think, hey, give this guy a shot. They are kind of stuck with this, and you meant it's been kind of a point of contention with the Bengals fan base is why don't they just blitz more? Why don't they just try to force the issue? And Al Golden, the defense coordinator, has said that they're already struggling, and he doesn't wanna just keep adding install on top of install on top of install. They didn't come up with all these exotic blitzes in when they were installing the defense back in training camp and in OTAs. It's a little late to put it in now. They kind of are what they are, and you mentioned it. They gave up 47 to Caleb Williams and 42 to Justin Fields. Well, here comes Aaron Rodgers, Drake May, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson again. So I think we are going to see more 30 and 40-point games against this defense.
Jay,
Yeah,
who's the leader of this? Who would you term as the leader of this defense right now, especially when Trey Hendrickson's not on the field?
So BJ Hill is a captain, but it was kind of default. They kind of the 3 oldest guys got the captain role this year, and that was Logan Wilson, Trey Hendrickson, and BJ Hill. And Trey's hurt, and Logan's traded, so it's BJ Hill by default. They picked up TJ Slayton from the Packers, a run stopping defensive tackle. He's really been kind of a guy that has that leadership aspect to him, but he's not on the field all 3 downs. It's a big question. There's a lack of skill on that side of the ball, and there's a lack of leadership, and it's all adding up to what we're seeing.
Okay.
Yeah, Bengals on pace to allow 566 points this year, which would shatter the record that was set by the Panthers last season. To kind of stick with the linebackers, Knight and Barrett Carter, you kind of talked about, Jay, how they've done. How's the communication been? The Bengals have really been tripped up by trick plays. The Jets threw a running back pass for a touchdown with the game winner there. Caleb Williams got a touchdown in the last game. Is that because of some of the newness of these guys not being able to handle these more funky, exotic looks?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if it's so much the communication, it's what kind of going back to what I said, the eyes. I mean, Ben Johnson had their head spinning. You mentioned the Caleb Williams. There was a bunch of trick plays from the
receiver
get-go.
pass that was dropped. Yeah, they could have given
They
a lot
ran
more.
a bunch of them. They ran one where they put their backup quarterback in the game, and they didn't hide him. They split him out wide. They didn't hide him on the Bears sideline. They put him right over on the Bengals sideline, and they still were totally aware of what the double pass coming. And it's growing pains that you have to deal with these guys. I'm not convinced that they're busts. I think they reached for Demetrius Knight in the second round. I've been really impressed with Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight in terms of their makeup and how much it means to them and how much they stand up and answer the tough questions in the locker room. And you can tell they both want to be great. They want to lead this defense. It's kind of hard to step into that role when you've you've got a Logan Wilson in the room, and I think that was a big reason why they traded Logan. It wasn't just his trade request, but it's like they kind of realized we need to fully turn this over to these young guys, and they knew it was going to be like this. They knew that there was going to be growing pains, and they thought their offense could outscore some of these teams, and it's just not happening.
Who's wearing the green dot? Is it Carter? Because he's played every snap the last month. Is it Carter wearing the green dot?
Yeah, it's Barrett Carter, and
Okay.
he was doing it in preseason too, and they are really impressed with the way he is handling the communication and getting the plays in. They love everything about his makeup. It's just the play quality is not there.
Sure.
And he's a 4th round pick. I mean, those guys don't just step in and start as rookies very often.
Yeah, it's asking a lot. DJ Turner seems to be one bright spot, 2 picks, leading the NFL in pass breakups. Had one of those picks against Pittsburgh in that Week 7 meeting. DK Metcalf says, I want him to follow me around and shadow and travel. Is that the expectation? And is Turner one of the building blocks that this team can look towards the future?
Yeah, I mean that's it. If you're saying what do you build around, it starts with DJ Turner, because Trey Hendrickson's not going to be here next year, and he's been terrific, and he was benched in Week 1, and when Zach came in and set him down and told him what he was going to do, his response was bet, and he's done it. He's come back. He's played well. He's won that starting job back. He's played really well. I thought he did a pretty good job against DK in that first game. The big concern was he's not very big, and it's like, well, how's he gonna match up with a big physical receiver like DK Metcalf? But they play off a lot, so it's not that big of a deal on the release. And then if you've got good coverage, you can defend against a guy like that. And sometimes it works in your favor, because if there is a little bit of hand fighting with an overly physical guy, maybe you draw an OPI every now and then. So he has really, really been good, and I do think we are going to continue to see that where Al Golden just uses DJ to travel with the other team's best receiver.
My last question for you, Jay, then I'll let Dave finish things out. What is Zach Taylor's future? Is his job safe with the Bengals, assuming they don't make the playoffs? Obviously, Burrow's been hurt, several of these seasons, which has muddied the evaluation. Is he back next year, or is there a chance they could move on?
Yeah, it's a tough question, because offensively, I mean, they were by almost every metric a top 5 team last year. They've overcome the loss of Burrow 2 years ago, and they did a great job with Browning. And now they bring Flacco in, and they've done what they've done offensively with him. I mean, I think he gets a ton of credit for what he does offensively, and the defense has been the issue. I don't know how much of that the owner Mike Brown is gonna put on Zach's head. It sounds crazy, because the head coach is in charge of the entire team, but it is a little different structure here. But then again, he fired. It was Zach's decision to get rid of Lou Anarumo last year, and I don't know how many times you get to scapegoat somebody before the axe falls on you. So I think there is a little bit of a buffer because of the Burrow injury again this year. But then again, Flacco's playing just as well as Burrow, so it's easy to say, well, they could still be 3-6 even if Burrow hadn't got hurt. So it is a really interesting question, and I think that the bigger question for Bengal fans is will the de facto GM Duke Tobin be back? The reason they are in this problem is their drafts have not been good at all, and they have not developed any of these defensive guys. They've done what they should do. They paid Joe Burrow, they paid T. Higgins, they paid Jamar Chase. Then you go spend a bunch of draft picks on defensive guys, top 100 picks, and very few of them have panned out. DJ Turner may be the lone exception.
He's a good coach, though, I feel like overall. And we watch a lot of his press conferences, because obviously within the division, real level headed. You don't see him too high or too low. I would think if they did cut bait with him, he'd end up with, we'll see how the coaching cycle goes this offseason, but it feels like he'd land on his feet somewhere there. When you look back at just a couple of weeks ago, what the Bengals did to the Steelers, and specifically how they used the wide receivers, and Jamar Chase had something like 62 targets in that game, and like 42 catches. I mean, realistically, he could have caught a couple more even in that game there. Why wouldn't you at least try to see if the Steelers have fixed the problems there? Now, obviously, Jalen Ramsey's at safety now, and he wasn't in that game. They've tried to mix and match his secondary up a little bit here, but why wouldn't you just try to come out and try to do some of the same things, especially out of the bunch formations that they did? Because there were a couple times the guys were running wide open, and even a couple that Joe missed or either were dropped by wide receivers there. Why wouldn't you at least try to attack things the same way there?
I would, but it's these coaches are weird. A lot of times they won't even run the same play in the same game, even if it works. They just feel like that they always have to come up with something new. I think there'll be some tweaks. I think the fact that it was just so recent, it may not be like a situation where you play in September, then you play again in December, and you're kind of almost a different team. I expect them to lean right back into getting the ball, Jamar, and maybe putting him in the slot even more, and trying to get the matchups in there that they're looking for. And the kind of the wild card in this is Andre Yoshivas, their 6th-round pick from a couple years ago. They really thought he was developing into something, and he had this horrible stretch where he had a bunch of drops. In Green Bay, he had 3. He had 1 that didn't count as a drop, but he probably should have had against Pittsburgh, and he had a 1 against the Jets that would have put him in field goal position to win the game with like a minute to go. Really kind of beating himself up. He's the guy. If a team is going to double Jamar and T, he's the guy that's gotta be the one that comes up with the big plays. He hasn't been able to do it. He finally did it against the Bears. He had a really good game. He had 5 catches, 66 yards. He had what should have been the game-winning touchdown with 54 seconds left before the defense blew it. So he's a guy that I think you're not gonna lean into him a lot, but he would be the wild card to watch if the Steelers continue to just throw all kinds of everything at Jamar and T. But if I'm Joe Flacco, if I'm Zach Taylor, it's feed Jamar over and over again until it's totally shut down, which it may never be.
And man, that catch T. Higgins made against the Bears, just incredible day. I mean, that top 3 wide receiver crew is something there. What's the temperature of the locker room? I know Chase Brown after that game against the Bears, you saw saw the interview of him and all like that. Have they settled down a little bit? Look, the offense has got to be saying what more do you want us to do? Put these points on the board like this, only for the defense to give up the game late there. What's the temperature overall in the locker room going into this one?
Yeah, we joke all the time about 100th consecutive year, the bye came at a good time. Like every player, every team always says the bye came at a good time. I think it truly came at a good time for this team. It felt like it was almost a powder keg after that Chicago game, and it was notable that there were very few defensive players in the locker room, and I don't think that it was just because they didn't want to answer questions from the media. I don't think they wanted to answer questions from the offense, and they knew they blew that game. And so there hasn't been a ton of finger pointing publicly, except Chase Brown's comments. It feels like things have settled down. I think even though Flacco's playing so well, I think the return of Joe Burrow has kind of infused a little bit of hope in this team. And it's crazy as it is, if they can find a way to go Pittsburgh and win, they're a game out of first place, which makes no sense. And you mentioned it in the open. You can't say must win. Well, the Bengals are saying, I asked Jamar point blank, I said, you win, you're 1 game out. You lose, you're 3 games out with 7 to go. Is this a must win? He said, yeah, 100%. It's a must win. T. Higgins said the same thing. Ted Karras said the same thing. They are embracing this as basically the start of their playoff run. And it would be crazy to think they're a game out of first with how bad they've played, but it might be crazy to think they can win this game in Pittsburgh too.
All right, Jay, we asked you for the prediction last time. You came. I mean, obviously you picked the Bengals to win. They did. Overall, what happens in this rematch here? It feels like if the Steelers can hit Joe Flacco a couple of good times in this one, it could make a big difference, especially when it comes to the offense here. But other than that, this is a scary offense. I don't know which way I'm leaning yet, and I've got to make my prediction a little bit later on in this show. Which way are you leaning in this one, and how about a final score in this one?
I'm going to go same exact final score, except I'm going to flip it. I'm going to say Steelers 33, Bengals 31.
All right. All right. Super. Tell everybody what's going on over at Bengals Talk in the podcast right now for heading into the weekend.
Yeah, we'll be recording our prediction. I guess I just kind of blew it, but we'll be recording our prediction podcast later today after we talk to Zach Taylor. We always have a show after the game, the walkout. 3-4 shows a week. BengalsTalk.com. All the content is up there. You can follow me on X, as you mentioned before, by Jay Morrison. A lot of ways to digest the content, and I know Steelers fans probably will be doing that this week, looking into this game on Sunday.
All right, Jay. Well, look, we appreciate having you on twice. I doubt there's going to be a third time for us this year, but you never know the way things go in the NFL, specifically this year. So if this is the last time that we have you on during the regular season, we certainly do appreciate you spending time with us. And come ahead of the draft season, maybe we'll check in with you and see what's going on in Bengals land as they prepare for the draft and all. So, Jay, really do appreciate your time. You're great. Your sound quality is off the charts as far as being on this podcast as well too. So thanks for being on the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex once again.
All right. Thanks, guys. Really good talking to you.
And welcome back to the Terrible Podcast. Our special thanks to Jay Morrison for his insight on the Bengals. Check out his stuff over at bengalstalk.com. Be sure to give him a follow on Twitter at by Jay Morrison. Always thankful for seeing Jay 2 times a year and appreciate his insight, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Real good guy to talk to, real accommodating for us, always on time, great sound quality, man. I just impressed every time I talk to him on the Zoom link there of how clean he sounds, and real knowledgeable, obviously, of the Bengals overall. And if indeed this is the last time that we talk to him during this season, look forward to having him back on ahead of the draft and getting his thoughts on maybe some ways the Bengals might go there. So make sure to shout Jay on Twitter if you are on Twitter, and thank him for his time for being with us twice this year.
We got to get that mic information from Jay. I don't know if he's got an audio board or what, but yeah, sounds radio quality for sure. So appreciate Jay's time as always. All right, Dave, let's you and I preview this game. Rematch time, Pittsburgh trying to avoid a sweep of the Bengals. Pittsburgh, of course, 5-4. The Bengals sitting at 3-6 on the season. The Bengals are coming off their bye. It's actually pretty common for the Bengals to come off their bye and play the Steelers. This will be the 4th time in Zach Taylor's tenure that has happened. Cincinnati 1-2 in the previous game. So the bye week has not always been friendly for the Bengals coming off of it, seeing Pittsburgh, but of course they won the first game 33-31. Not a ton of changes from the Bengals in terms of personality or personnel, seeing them just a couple weeks ago. But Dave, this Bengals offense is red hot, one of the best in football, even with Joe Flacco and without Joe Burrow, getting the ball to Chase Higgins, the run games come alive. So what are your impressions of this offense, and how can Pittsburgh combat things a second time around?
Yeah, and real quick, stat that I pulled up talking about the bye weeks and all. The Steelers are 7-10-1 under Mike Tomlin when playing teams coming off their bye week. They are 3-5 against AFC North teams that are coming off their bye week. Zach Taylor during his time with the Bengals is 4-3 when his team comes off the bye week, and they're 2-3 against AFC North teams in such games. And as you mentioned, a couple of those have been again. In fact, it was last season, right?
It was.
The Bengals came off of their bye week, and the Steelers, I think, won that game there. So not it's not really lopsided here as far as coming off the bye weeks under these two head coaches there. As far as the Bengals offense goes, man, you thought they looked okay with Joe Flacco on limited time. The last time these two teams met, they really seem to be in stride here right now on the side of that football. Their running game, starting against the game against the Steelers, came alive. They've been running the ball fairly effectively since then. As Jay told us, you got those 2 guards back in there now. They're playing good football there. It's not like they're mixing things up a lot. They'll have times where they'll have the 2 tight ends on the field, run a lot of split, mid zone type stuff. They'll pull the guards on occasion. They're just the creases have been in there. And I thought, one of the things that Cam Hayward was asked just I think it was yesterday or the day before about Chase Brown is he's a guy that just gets it up in there really, really quick there. And he is a guy that if you give it, we talked about some running backs around the league and giving runways to, he's not a guy that you want to have a clean runway to, because if he does, and you only get an arm on him at the line of scrimmage, he is a guy that can go 7, 8, 9, 10 yards. And this is a running back that had the 2 big explosive plays, I think, early in that last game against the Bengals or against the Steelers. And Mike Tomlin talked about how how those really kind of set the tone of the game there. So the Steelers have obviously got to do a lot better job of shutting down the running game early in this game. And I imagine because of Joe Flacco and his shoulder, they're not going to come out throwing. They're going to want to try to establish the run early. Cam Hayward kind of walked back some of the comments that he had made after the game against the Chargers about trusting the guy next to you. And, he just, look, he said, just guys have got to be in their gaps. And you do that through repetition and all, but this is going to be a tough chore the second time around because the Bengals are going to try to run on him, and how they're able to run the football early will dictate the use of play action and how much they try to feed the ball to the likes of Jamar Chase, and that's a elephant all to its own, if you will. We saw what happened the last time that they got the running game going and how Chase was fed the ball throughout that. It'll be interesting to see. Look, if something is not broke, why fix it? And I expect to see a lot of these bunch type situations, either 2-man or 3-man type situations to get Jamar Chase rubbed off in some man type situations against him. You obviously cannot let Jamar Chase have 16 catches in this game like he did the last time here. They got to tackle the catch a lot better as well too. And it's not like just Chase Brown and Jamar Chase are the only options in this offense. T. Higgins has come alive the last few games on top of, made a couple of great catches, one significant one against the Bears a couple of weeks ago as well. So the Steelers have their hands full with an offense that Joe Flacco is getting a lot more comfortable in. I imagine Joe's going to want the ball out quickly. The Steelers have got to find a way, Alex, to take that first read away from Joe Flacco. They have got to hit Joe Flacco every opportunity that they can. And if they can get a couple of good hits on Joe Flacco, it could be a main point. It could be a turning point in this game.
Yeah, I don't know if the Bengals are going to come out with the explicit intent to run the football. They've been fine throwing with Flacco. That's how this offense wins. It's how it's put up its points, and they have the weapons to make it happen. So I think they're going to have some balance to them. They have that now, and that run game started against Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, then got even better against the Jets. It regressed them against Chicago, but still it's a larger threat than it was whenever we talked about the team last time previewing that game. So it kind of reminds me of the Colts. You got some weapons in the pass game. You got to be able to take away those guys. Probably got to play some more too high looks in this game. They give those cornerback support, especially with Ramsey now playing safety, no longer playing cornerback primarily. And so you can't leave these cornerbacks on islands. Pittsburgh did too much of that last time. So play more too high, but then of course you got to stop the run from these 7-man boxes and fronts. And so can Pittsburgh be able to do that? Like the Colts game, that'll be key because Chase Brown has run well. The run game has been more effective. Their duo scheme's working well, some split zone action. So that'll be the key. I think Pittsburgh last time focused too much on the pass game, didn't really pay any attention to the run game, certainly paid the price for that. They will hopefully not make that same mistake twice.
Right. And the Bengals have been, let's see, on third down against the Bears, they were 5-10. In the game prior to that, what were they against the Jets?
Not sure.
Lost my spot here. Let me pull it up here. But once again, if they're able to run the football, though, that's going to make it even that much more tougher on the Steelers defense.
Sure, but you got to stop it. That's the first primary goal for Pittsburgh, even before you start talking about the pass game and Chase and Higgins, which are impactful players, obviously, but that's where it begins. Bengals were 4 of 9 on third down against the Jets, 0-1 on fourth down.
All right. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough you got to shut down the run first and foremost here. So, and once again, I think they're going to try to minimize, obviously, the hits on Joe Flacco.
Right, but it's been tough because this is a 5 in the pattern type of pass game primarily. It's been one of the great things about having Burrow and this explosive big play offense. They are aggressive. They put guys out there. They force you to match up and play in a lot of space and cover the whole field, but that leaves them vulnerable in protection, and Burrow's taken some hits, and Flacco has too. I think the thoughts aren't radically different from a couple weeks ago when the Bengals had the bye last week. It's identifying Jamar Chase, I should say. He aligns everywhere, and so I think he's not a guy that's just a pure X receiver. He's a guy that will play all over the field, and so Pittsburgh handles that will be key. Anytime T. Higgins is isolated, Flacco's willing to go to him one-on-one, and then as Mike Tomlin mentioned, the running back, Chase Brown, had 14 targets and 8 catches last week. And so if you do take away the deep ball and keep a lid on things, I think Flacco getting more comfortable hitting his check down and letting Chase Brown do some damage. He's got some great speed in the open field. And then other guys too. Josevas hit Pittsburgh on that big play, beat Slay. Fant caught a touchdown. So it's not just Chase and Higgins. I think those matchups of, okay, even if you do minimize Chase and Higgins and spend time and energy and scheme to take those guys away, can you cover Josevas and Fant one-on-one? Because you're never going to have help in those situations because you have to take away the stars first. And Pittsburgh did not do a good job of that last time. They have to do that again or do a much better job of that this time around.
Yeah, and Mike Tomlin praised Joe Flacco for the RPO decisions and play and all like that. So I imagine we're going to see a lot of RPOs in this as well too. You got to tackle a lot better than you did that last time around there. That's going to be a key element as well, which was a bugaboo for the Steelers the first time they played the Bengals.
Under Flacco, the Bengals are scoring 32.5 points per game. That would be number 1 in the NFL, extrapolated over the course of an entire season. Flacco's taking much better care of the football. They've only turned the ball over, I think, one game of his 4 starts, three turnovers against the Bears, which was obviously costly. But Flacco, I think, had 8 turnovers in 4 starts in Cleveland, just 3 in 4 starts with the Bengals. And so that's been a big difference and one reason why they're lighting up the scoreboard. Any other thoughts on the offense, Dave?
No, I expect them to be able to move the football. That's for sure. Okay, need to try to limit them to 3s instead of 7s down low.
Situational stops, bend but don't break. That'll be the key because the Bengals are going to get some yards in this game. All right, flipping over to the defense, and usually we talk about how every offense is the 08 Patriots and every defense is the 76 Steelers. This Bengals defense, I could write a book on how historically bad they've been. Not to say that anything's ever easy in the NFL, but points have come really easy against the Bengals. So you better expect Pittsburgh to be able to continue that and further that and add to their misery.
Boy, if you cannot convert on 3rd downs and you can't pop a couple explosive plays against this defense on Sunday, then who can you? This is a game where the Steelers ought to be able to move the football on 3rd downs through the air, pushing the football down the field a little bit more. Key question I wanted to ask Jay there that I did and he answered there is just, who is the leader of this defense right now? And especially without Trey Hendrickson on the field and now that Logan Wilson's been played, I mean, you don't really see that on the tape these last several games for sure there. It doesn't seem like there's one key guy that they kind of go to. They've got those young linebackers there and Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter who are trying to fill their way out here. Overall, they're not doing a great job tackling. Seems like the pile's moving forward on run plays and giving up a lot of up the middle type runs. Heck, they're getting run on the outside as well too. And even in the passing game, and this was really evident against the Bears. They're not tackling well overall. This is a defense that Now here's one of the things about the Bears is the quarterback mobility. Well, really against the Bears and the Jets, the quarterback mobility aspect. Even when the Bengals were able to get some pressure, they couldn't do anything with it due to quarterback mobility. Aaron Rodgers is not that guy. You're not that guy. But quarterback mobility did cause them some problems in a couple of those games there. But the Steelers are not going to obviously be able to rely on that with Aaron Rodgers. And this is not a team that blitzes a whole heck of a lot at all.
Last in the NFL in blitz, right?
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers is not a guy anyway that I think you want to blitz or that you have to blitz. I think he's a quarterback that you just you play the 8 or 7 or 8 in coverage situations there, specifically on 3rd and long type situations, because he hasn't, he's been showing that he wants to get the football out there. So the Steelers have got to find a way, and the Bengals play predominantly zone. I think if you split it up, it's about 25% man, 75% zone overall. They don't blitz a whole heck of a lot. You've just got to win in these zone situations. Pat Freiermuth, as Mike Tomlin was asked earlier in the week, why does he have these big games against the Bengals? It's predominantly because they are a zone defense. You're going to have a big game. I think you got to try to feed the ball to Freiermuth, to Metcalf in these zone situations. Here you see I think the Bears had some very nicely now, I don't know if you'll see the Steelers do this, but they had a kind of the Bears, they were in their bag as far as double passes and throws back across the field. I don't think you'll see the Steelers do a whole heck of a lot of that, but the screen game, I think, is something maybe that you try to lean into a little bit. Look, how about keep Jaylen Warren on the field a little bit more in this game, Alex? How about try to get the football in some of these 3rd down situations? How about leave Jaylen Warren out on the field and let him see what he can do with the ball in his hand out in space there? We talked about a lot of the narrative has been about coming out of this Chargers game about Jaylen Warren, the percentage of snaps that he played, his usage on 3rd down, or really is no usage on 3rd down here. Is this something the Steelers should lean into maybe a little bit more in this game against the Bengals here? And as we noted, you could boil this game down to really 40 offensive snaps against the Chargers overall. And because after that point, I don't even think Jaylen Warren was on the field after that. Jaylen Warren is one of your key playmakers on offense here, and it just seems criminal to not have him out there more in some 3rd down situations.
Yeah, I think we'll see that change. I mean, it ebbs and flows and depends on situations, and Gainwell can be an asset, but you got to have your best players on the field in those key got-to-have-it moments. And when you're not just 0 of 9 to start that Chargers game, but 7 of 26 on 3rd down your last 2 weeks, going back to the Colts game, you got to get Warren out there some more. When it comes to the run game, I think that at least in recent weeks, they've defended the perimeter toss game better. I think their DBs are active and good in run support. I think a more downhill power run game is where Pittsburgh should focus its efforts this week. I think the linebackers of Carter and Knight, there might be some talent, there might be some future potential, but they're rookies, they're bad with their eyes. These pullers can fool them. I think Warren can really press the hole and have these guys in a blender. And so I think that's going to be the key, is more downhill. The D-line's got some size to it, and Hill and Slayton, but they're not really getting off of blocks. And so I think downhill power run game, pulling those guards will be the key in this game for Pittsburgh to get its run game going, and then they can obviously build off of that.
And you saw the Bears pop some nice runs off of pulling those guards as well, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of where I go from. Some of these, linebackers lose where the puller's at, or they try to over pursue, try to get over the top of it, create a cutback lane. I think you've kind of seen that on tape pretty consistently. I think the one thing the Bengals do well defensively, and there aren't a lot of things, I'll give you some stats about how bad this defense has been. They defend play action well in those max protect 2-man route situations. The teams have tried that. The Jets tried it. The Bears tried it, and the Bengals do a good job of taking those away. If you are going to use play action, you got to boot more, move the launch point, get more guys out into the pattern than kind of the 2-man take a shot with this like over post Yankee concept. That has not been really effective. So Pittsburgh, if they are going to use play action, it's got to be more guys in the pattern than it is kind of 8 guys or 7-man protection and then 2 guys in the route.
And this Steelers team has been living off of, in games that they've done well in yards after the catch. And this is obviously Bengals defense has given up a lot of that so far this season. So if they're going to continue to use this shorter passing game from Aaron Rodgers, you're going to have the yards after the catch for sure.
Yeah, the Bengals just can't tackle. 109 missed tackles this season. That would rank 11th in the entire 2024 season. And we got half a season to go. They're on pace to miss more than 200 tackles this year, which is off the charts completely. Never seen that kind of stuff before in terms of how long that data has been tracked. The Bengals defense in general has been historically bad. They're on pace, like I told Jay, to allow the most number of total points in a season by a considerable margin, even on a points per game basis of 33.3 points per game allowed, would be the NFL's worst since the 1966 New York Giants. So just to really put things into that historical lens. You mentioned the trick plays. You're right. Pittsburgh is not a trick play team at all. But the last two games, the Bengals have allowed a halfback pass touchdown, a wide leak on fourth down. Not really a trick play, but a little deception play that worked well. That double pass with a tight end thrown to a wide receiver against Chicago, and then a reverse receiver pass to Kaleb Johnson for a touchdown. So if there is a time to try something funky, it is going to be in this game. I think also some wide receiver runs could work. I know the perimeter toss game has not been super effective traditionally, but some of those jet receiver runs have had success. The Jets did it. The Bears did it for a touchdown. So could you get Roman Wilson or Calvin Austin a touch in the run game? Again, not things Pittsburgh does typically, but maybe a wrinkled add-in for this game.
Yeah, I saw on tape the one the Bears did as well too, and first thing I popped in my head is, will we see another pop? Because that was like a little pop flip forward pass there. It's been a couple weeks since we've seen the Jonnu Smith one. I bet we see one of those to Jonnu Smith in this game.
That could be on the goal line, but I want to get some speed out there. So if you're going to do it in open grass, then I want probably Calvin Austin or Roman Wilson doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, Pittsburgh could do that with Jonnu. That's a little bit more in kind of their personality.
Alex, the Steelers have just 23 completions that include more than 10 air yards involved with them, and that ranks them last in the NFL in that stat. Probably not surprising to those of you listening that have watched the games. Aaron's not pushing the football down the field, and definitely not more than 10 air yards here. But this is a Bengals defense that can give up such throws if you can give Aaron a little bit of time to push it down the field there. Last in the NFL, just 23 of those. The Steelers have registered just 89 plays of 10 yards or longer this season, and believe it or not, only the Eagles have fewer than the Steelers going into this game of actual plays that go for 10 yards or longer. 88 for the Eagles, 89 for the Steelers. It's going to be a long second half of this season, Alex, if that does not improve. This offense, forget explosive plays of 20 yards or longer. We need to at least start seeing this offense registering plays of 10 yards or longer moving forward here. And this is a perfect week against the Bengals defense to get that stuff specifically if you're not throwing the ball 10 yards down the field or more, but after the catch. I think we're going to look at this game after it's over and go straight to the yards after the catch for both the teams here. The Steelers absolutely have got to win that aspect of it, and specifically if they're not going to throw the football down the field.
The Keystone State, under construction on your roadways and in your stadiums. The Steelers and Eagles apparently struggling to get those big plays going. So yeah, it's Pittsburgh's one of their stated goals was to add more explosive playmaking. That's why you go get a DK Metcalf and have an Aaron Rodgers to hopefully facilitate all that, and it has not worked out well so far. This is obviously a get right kind of a game. If you put up points against the Bengals, your problems are not probably cured, but you better not have more problems when you're facing a Bengals team that has not stopped anything this season.
And look, these 3 and outs to start, they've got to start the games better than they have the last few here as well, too. And this is a team against the Bengals that, at least on the offensive side of football, can put up 17 points in the first quarter if you're not careful.
The only not the only concern, but one kind of global concern is you're seeing the Bengals a second time, and it cuts both ways, obviously. But did the Bengals make some adjustments? Maybe they have an upper hand or can gain an advantage, because is this the first time they've played a team a second time? Have they played any of the divisional games twice this year? I don't believe they have. So you're always a little curious about how that team will attack things in that second meeting, even though it is just a couple weeks removed from that Week 7 contest. So ripe for the picking. The Bengals defense is their pass rush is minimal, and Rodgers had a lot of scrambling time and looked really good, kind of extending plays early in that Week 7 contest. So you hope and expect that to happen again, but no guarantee. You have to get the job done and give Rodgers time.
Yeah, I want to see the running game start getting going back the other direction again. The last couple have been, not as good as say how they were doing prior to coming out of Minnesota, I guess, and they put a couple of good games decent games together. But man, it sure would be nice to have one of those 150-yard rushing games.
Just more opportunity, more plays. I think the Steelers could have done that against the Chargers had the game circumstance been right, but you just weren't in a position for the lack of plays and falling behind and those kinds of things. So certainly an opportunity. The Bengals' run defense has been blasting the NFL. It's been just bad across the board.
You need more than 16 touches to Jaylen Warren in this game, right?
Yeah, my issue. I mean, they gave him the ball when he was on the field. I mean, I think they did a good. He gets 24 snaps and 16 touches. You can't give the guy the ball more than that. But to me, the narrow critique that I had was the lack of third down work. The Gainwell took every single third down rep, even in some manageable situations. For all that Warren offers as a receiver and pass protection, I know that Warren can't play every single down. And there were some moments where he's running hard and breaking 3 tackles and hurdling guys, where you got to give this guy a breather, but got to get this guy on the field in your moments where you need to have it the most when your offense is struggling. The way that is, you got to lean on your stars, not shy away from them.
Yeah, and they definitely tried to start leaning into Gainwell too much on third downs. It felt like against the Chargers.
And I want to see Johnny Smith have a game. I don't know. Is there great chemistry between Rodgers and Johnny Smith? I've kind of been skeptical of that. He's talked up Darnell Washington, of course. He just mentioned, during his media presser earlier this week to get Pat Frymuth more touches. I don't hear him talk about Johnny Smith too much. He's got a decent amount of targets this year, a lot of screen game, a lot of short game, RPO game. I just don't know if there's a great connection. I know that's certainly Arthur Smith's guy, and those guys have a long history. I don't feel like I feel the same love between Rodgers and Johnny Smith.
And when he has gone to him the last couple of weeks, that hasn't gone well, right? You start off the game against, who was it? The
it was Colts. Colts game dropped the first play action.
Dropped the first one, and then obviously the failed connection down the field in this last game against the Chargers as well, too. That they've been there, they just haven't been able to connect. True. There's been some plays there for the making there that for one reason or the other they haven't made.
Now, Johnny scored in that first game against the Bengals, right? Every Pittsburgh tight end, I think, scored in that game effectively. He had 3 catches for 28 yards and a touchdown. I think he had the first touchdown of the game. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. There has been some chances. Johnny had to drop. Rodgers had to miss against the Chargers. So, I don't know. I just from his commentary, I haven't heard too much about Johnny Smith. This kind of makes me feel like there isn't a great chemistry, something kind of still missing, something still has to click there. So, maybe this can be the game.
Yeah, look, we've had more talk about Darnell Washington in this offense than we have Johnny Smith the last several weeks, for sure.
Right. All right. Any other final thoughts? Special teams. They got a good battery over there in McPherson. I don't think he's quite the kicker that he once was early in his career, but still, a good kicker. Reckow is, I think, leading the NFL in gross average over 52 yards. He's got a leg. My question for him coming out of BYU was about placement, consistency, hang time. This dude booms the heck out of the football, though. And then their return, Charlie Jones. He's got 3 return touchdowns in his 3 years in the NFL. I think he's got 1 this year. So, Bengals can get some hidden plays on special teams.
Yeah, got to make Joe Flacco and them go long fields for sure. Special teams cannot play a part in allowing this Bengals offense to work on shorter fields.
Well said. All right, Dave, any other thoughts here on this Bengals contest?
No, should be an exciting one for sure.
All right, Dave, before we make our picks for this game and for the rest of Week 11, let's hear from our friends over at MyBookie. I know we are tied to start the week, right? 0-0-1.
Had a push.
Had a push last night. So
13 points. I laid the points. You took the points, and it ended up being a 13-point game last night in the Jets and Patriots there. So we go into this week. Obviously, MyBookie been a long time sponsor of the Terrible Podcast, specifically the Friday show when Alex and I get all of our picks against the lines in here, which we use via mybookie.ag. Look, several teams already have hung 40 or more on the board this year, and overs are printing right and left. The Bengals have played a big part in that in the last several weeks as well, too. MyBookie is where my boys are cashing in on every one of these. Game lines, player props, same game parlays. Whatever you're riding on, MyBookie has you covered in that area there. New players, if you're new to mybookie.ag, they can use our promo code TERRIBLE. That's promo code TERRIBLE to get started with their bet back bonus. That's right. What does that mean? Bet back bonus. It means your first bet up to $500 is fully covered. If it misses, use your bet back token, and it keeps you in the game so you can reload and fire another shot. And you get that by using promo code TERRIBLE at sign up. Whether you're building your bankroll or looking to hit the lotto with money bag portion of my bookie, make sure to check that out as well too. You can bet on anything, anytime, anywhere with my bookie. Obviously, they got the college lines up there. They got the college basketball, NBA, hockey, anything imaginable, the props, you name it. My bookie has you covered. As they like to say, you can bet anything, anytime, anywhere with my bookie, and you go to mybookie.ag. And once again, if you're a first time new MyBookie user, use our promo code Terrible at signing up and take advantage of their bet back bonus program right out of the chute there.
Do you have some Steelers news that just came across the wire? Pittsburgh has signed back running back Trey Sermon to the practice squad. So he was waived earlier this week and comes back to the team. Should have mentioned not a roster move, but a roster poaching, that wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins on the Steelers practice squad for a bulk of the season. He was poached by the New York Giants. Hodgins, a former Giant himself, has spent several seasons with the team. Giants looking for receiver help. And so Hodgins going back to East Rutherford, that opened up the spot to bring back Sermon.
All right, and we kind of figured that might be the case after Sermon was waived the other day there and cleared waivers yesterday. So practice squad, I believe, is now complete again, right?
And Sermon cannot be elevated because he is out of elevation. So if he were to somehow play in this game, he'd have to get signed back to the 53, which would require more roster shuffling. Don't expect that to happen, though.
Right. This should be a week that they don't need him.
All right, Dave, let's make the rest of our picks for week 11.
All right, let me pull up the MyBookie page here real quick, and we will start with the Washington Commanders overseas, right, against the Miami Dolphins. Where's this one at?
Is it in Germany still? Or
Is it?
Scott? No, where's it at? Let's find out together here, Dave. Well, give me the line here as I figure out the location.
All right. The line on this one is the Dolphins laying 2.5 against the Commanders in this one.
It's in Madrid, Spain. I knew it was somewhere new.
Okay.
I was trying to think Scotland, not Scotland, Spain. I will go. Yeah,
Dolphins been trying to stay alive here the last couple of weeks. So and then obviously the Commanders are banged up.
I'll go Dolphins.
Yeah, I'll go Dolphins in this one as well too. Lay the 2.5 there. Next we have Green Bay Packers, who've had some problems on offense as of late. Their defense playing pretty well. They lost the game the other night to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Giants obviously had the coaching change with Daboll. Who is it? Mike Kafka is the interim head coach over there. They're not going to have Jackson Dart. Jameis Winston getting the start. And you can bet he's going to you only live once or only live once again type game. He's going to be pushing the football down the field. But they're playing a good Packers defense here. The Packers on the road laying 7 against Jameis and company.
That's a pretty big line. Usually the teams get that boost first game off the fired head coach. Packers just have a good defense, have a good plan. Winston is so, hit and miss, some turnovers. I don't know which way I want to go. I'll say the Giants find a way to cover.
All right. What do you make of all the Matt LaFleur talk now the last couple of weeks here?
Without his status going forward, yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how the season ends up. I'd be a little surprised if a change was made, by the end of this year, unless the bottom completely fell out. So they're hurt, they're banged up, lose Kraft, got some other injuries. We'll see what they do. I think they'll be in this fight till the end.
Yeah, and I think they'll quiet all those concerns this weekend against the Giants as well, too. I'll easily lay those 7 points to the Packers on the road against the Giants. How about the Bears on the road against Minnesota? I smell a rat here for some reason. Bears been playing some good, decent football for sure. And the Vikings, they're still trying to find out J.J. McCarthy and what they can do with him in the offense. The Vikings are 3-point home favorites against the Bears.
Ooh, that is surprising. I may be getting suckered into this one, but I'll take the Bears.
I smell a rat here. Plus, boy, that stadium in Minnesota can get loud, and I wonder how much of an impact that has on this one. I'll I'll take the bait here. I'll lay the 3 points with the Vikings to cover that 3 against the Bears at home. How about the Chargers go on the road against the Jaguars here? Jaguars seem to be kind of spinning in the wrong direction. The Chargers playing some good ball. The Chargers go on the road laying 3 points against the Jaguars.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to count Jacksonville out of this thing just yet. It's a heartbreaker of a loss they had against Houston. I think
They're
bounce
playing
back.
for a wild card, right? Colts are going to win that division, right?
Yeah, it seems almost certain. I was thinking too the other day, if Pittsburgh wins the division, they're basically the 4 seed, right? There's
Right.
no upward mobility, even with wins over the Patriots and Colts. All those teams are well above. So
Right.
the AFC North's the 4 seed, and then 4-5 is going to be the first round matchup. I will take the Jaguars.
Wow. Okay, I'll take the Chargers. Lay that 3 points on the road. That's a tough offense to hang with. Carolina Panthers on the road against the Falcons. Another weird line here. Falcons are laying 3.5 points at home against the Panthers.
Who was the one that was shut out? It was 30-0 that last game. I forget. Was it the Panthers that shut out the Falcons, or was it the inverse? I want to just get my bearings.
I think it was the Falcons that were shut out.
Yeah. Carolina won that game 30-0. Weird teams this year. Give me the Panthers.
Ooh. You know what? Give me the Falcons. Lay that 3.5 and get revenge on this one against the Panthers there. How about the Tampa Bay? This should be a good one. Buccaneers go on the road against the Bills. There's been a lot of talk about that Bills offense as of late. Bills laying 5.5 points at home against Tampa Bay. How cold is it going to be there? How cold is it up your way today?
It's in the 40s. It's getting chilly, but it's not too bad. A lot about the Bills' offense. A lot talk about the defense too, and just struggling to get stops. Their defense has been an issue. It looks like 41 on Sunday, partly cloudy skies. Take the Bucks.
I will take the Bills. Well, I'm going the opposite direction of you. A lot of these. I'll lay the 5.5 with the Bills at home against Tampa Bay. Houston Texans on the road against the Tennessee Titans. As you would expect, the Texans are favored in this one. 6-point favorites on the road against Tennessee.
And my rule on divisional games is they're always closer than you expect. Davis Mills, big comeback. Going to start again. Oh, I don't feel great about this one, Dave. Something says take the Titans. I'll take the Titans.
I'll take the Texans. Lay the 6 points there. We're going to be a lot of different directions this week here. I can't wait to watch this one. Hopefully we can mop up our work from recapping the Steelers game early here. The Seattle Seahawks go on the road and play the Los Angeles Rams. Rams are 3-point home favorites against the Seahawks, who have played very well on the road this year.
Yeah, it's definitely game of the week. I'll take Seattle. Are the Seahawks the best team in the NFL right now?
Boy, they certainly seem to be at least on the NFC side for sure the last several weeks. They really have been playing well. Tough offense with Jackson Smith and Jigba and company to stop, and they really haven't got their running game going the way they want it to yet. If they get that running game going, look out for them. But Rams laying 3 points. So which way are you going? Seattle?
I'm taking Seattle. Taking Seattle.
Yeah, that's been my mantra with Seattle all season. Is they played better on the road. I will take Seattle plus the 3 points. I think Seattle wins this one outright. 49ers, I think they get Brock Purdy back this week, playing a banged up Cardinals team. San Francisco laying 3 on the road against the Cardinals.
I think you're starting at receiver this weekend for the Cardinals, right, Dave? You're going to go out there run some routes.
Are they going to have even Marvin Harrison? He had an
appendectomy
or something.
Or maybe on IR, but he's out, right?
I think he had something. I hadn't looked. The last couple
he had appendicitis. Yeah, he's officially out. So he's done for this game. I will take the 49ers.
I'll take the 49ers as well, too. Christian McCaffrey and company. I'll lay the 3 points with you there. Another good game. Kansas City Chiefs divisional game against the Denver Broncos. Patrick Mahomes has pretty much owned Denver throughout his career. I think he only has 1 loss against them. Broncos, good defense. They're kind of trying to still figure out some inconsistencies on offense. The Chiefs, if they lose this, I think they'll go back to 500. Who would have thought that to start the season? Chiefs, 4-point road favorites, having to go on the road against Denver.
Yeah, I'll take the Chiefs. The Broncos offense has been disappointing. J.K. Dobbins is out, more snaps for Harvey, but give me the Chiefs.
I'll take the Chiefs lay the 4 points on the road in a tough place to play in Denver as well, too. The Ravens on the road against the Cleveland Browns. Lamar Jackson missed a practice with a knee, but came back in practice yesterday there. Ravens getting back healthy, going in the right direction. Cleveland's got a good defense, nothing else. Ravens laying 7.5 on the road against the Browns.
Yeah, they blew them out last time. They'll blow them out again. Ravens win big.
I think the Ravens win big as well, too. I'll lay the 7.5 points there. Decent game. Lions on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles trying to get some things ironed out on offense. A.J. Brown, a lot of comments continue on. The Lions' inconsistencies. You even had Dan Campbell, I think, calling plays there in that last game for them. Eagles, 2.5-point home favorites against the Lions in this one. This should be a fun one to watch.
And Campbell did a great job calling the plays. I'll take the Lions.
Yeah, I don't like all what's going on with Philadelphia in that locker room and all right now. It feels like a powder keg over there right now.
This has happened before. The Eagles have like every year, like midway through the season, fire everyone, and it's like, oh, we're win 11 games by the end of the year.
Yeah, and Super Bowl champions.
Right.
That being said, I like the Lions to win this one outright. I'll take.
You know what? I'm flipping. I'm flipping to the Eagles. I've convinced myself they're gonna right the ship.
All right, I'll go the other side of the fence here. I'll take the Lions plus the 2.5 points in this one. That brings us to the ever exciting Monday night game. Dallas Cowboys out here in Vegas playing the Raiders. Dallas only favored by 3 points against the Raiders in this one.
That is a smaller line than I expected. Neither defense great, but Cowboys offense a lot more explosive. Give me Dallas.
Give me Dallas to lay the 3 points in this one as well, too. All right, I don't know which way you're going on this one. I think you don't know which way I'm going on this one. Pittsburgh Steelers host the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday, 1 o'clock, CBS. Line, I think, started off around 6 here. It's dipped a little bit. The Steelers are 5.5-point home favorites against the Bengals in the rematch. A lot of the talk, I've seen several of the talking heads and even some Pittsburgh, I think, local guys expecting the Steelers to mop the floor with the Bengals this time around. What say you?
I don't even trust what I think anymore when it comes to predictions. I have just been so brutally bad at these. Is Pittsburgh really going to get swept by the Bengals? You know, take two. You have a whole week to prepare. You know, last time was Thursday night. Road game, Flacco on the fly, even though he's not new, but just getting adjusted to that offense, knowing exactly what to expect. There was a lot of things historically working against Pittsburgh. Certainly the Bengals offense will move the ball. They're going to put up points. Pittsburgh's offense is playing its worst stretch of the season. And so this is hopefully a get-right game, but there's no guarantee. It's just hard to see the sweep. It's hard to see them losing this home game. Pittsburgh's offense, I think, still has the potential. I think Aaron Rodgers can right the ship and can kind of calm things down, get this run game going, which is still, I think the run game has been good. It just hasn't had enough chances to be good. And so all that being said, I know I'm the kiss of death here. I'm sure people are begging me to pick against Pittsburgh, but I'm sorry to tell you I'm taking the Steelers 30-24.
All right, 30-24. That would be 54 total points. The over-under on this game is 49, and a lot of people were thinking you could see, a 30 to 30-something type game in this. I have bounced either way. Look, if the Steelers, once again, this is not a must-win game for Pittsburgh, but it's one they better win, it feels like here. Because, look, if you don't win this, what are your chances of going 4-2 in the division? Because you still got the 2 games against Baltimore. You got one left against the Browns. You would effectively have to sweep all those games to go 4-2. And we talked before the start of the seasons. Playing the division ultimately could be the deciding factor of whether or not this team gets to 10 or 11 wins in this one. The Steelers. And look, the Bengals, if they lose this one too, they're pretty much done. It feels like in the playoff picture here. So this is going to be an interesting game here. I bounce back and forth overall here. I'm going to have this a little bit lower score than most here. I think the biggest component on this is Joe Flacco getting hit one too many times. I think that the key turning point in this game is a hit on Flacco that either results in a interception, pick six, or a sacked fumble scoop and 6. So the Steelers score a touchdown. For the Steelers, one of the key things here when we talk about what do the Steelers need to do to win this game, it's a shot. I think the Steelers defense has to score in this game. And
I like it.
And I think they will. I think there's a potential of there being one too many hits on Flacco in this game, and I could see a scenario where Flacco has to leave this game. The Steelers, I think, can get after Flacco if they can get him to hold the ball a few times and come off those first reads there. I think that could be the difference in this game overall. So I think the Steelers defense ends up being the biggest component in this game, sacking Flacco a couple times, getting a turnover. I think the defense scores in this one as well, too. Going back to my 23-20 scenario here. Steelers win this 23-20 thanks to a defensive touchdown here. So give me the Bengals plus the 5.5 points, but give me the Steelers winning 23-20.
So you think this offense is going to struggle against the Bengals?
I just don't think it's going to be as crisp as most think.
Okay.
Overall,
That's fair.
I worry about Rodgers just being able to push the flow. I am worried about the explosive element of the Steelers offense. I am worried about the Steelers on third downs right now. And even if they get this right against the Bengals, this is a Bengals defense that you expect it to get right against. I want to see this offense start stringing some games together where they can have these 10-yard runs, where they can have these 10-yard plays. Forget about the 20-yard explosive plays. I want to start seeing them pop some 10-yard plays here. So I think a modest game from Freiermuth, a modest game from DK Metcalf ends up being enough. I think they run the ball just good enough there, but I'm not expecting a point explosion. I'm taking the under on this as well, too. I've got a total of 43 points. So I'm taking the Bengals to cover the line. I'm expecting the Steelers to win, and the over-under to come under 49 points.
I really like your defensive touchdown prediction, and Pittsburgh needs it. They've only had takeaways in one of their last, 5 games. Last time Pittsburgh didn't have a takeaway in 4 or 5 games consecutively was the start of the 2013 season. So it's been some droughts there. I'm going to put you on the spot, though, Dave, make you run with this prediction one more step. Who scores the defensive touchdown for Pittsburgh?
Nick Herbig.
Okay, so it's kind of the inverse of last year when Herbig forced the fumble that Peyton Wilson ran into the end zone for the touchdown. So this is going to be this is interception or fumble. It sounds more fumble recovery.
Like I said, you hit Flacco, the ball goes up into the air into Nick Herbig's arms, or Nick Herbig or TJ Watt forces a sack. Herbig scoops or scores, something along those lines. I am really. I'm looking for the prop bet on Steelers defense scoring.
Okay, do you know who Mike Blowers is?
Who?
Mike Blowers?
No.
He was a commentator, I think a baseball player for, I think, the Mariners, and he has, go look it up if you guys are listening. It's one of the craziest call your shot predictions ever on a home run call. He predicted it perfectly to a T. It's going to be in the 4th inning. It's going to be on a 3-2 count. It's going to be left center field. It's going to be second deck. It's going to be this player. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. I'm going to have you do it here. Give me. Okay, is it interception, fumble recovery, touchdown? Give me all the details on this defensive score by Nick Herbig. What quarter? Let's start here.
Fourth quarter.
Oh, so key touchdown late.
Right. Early, first half of the fourth quarter, somewhere in that 7 and whatever minute mark there. Sacked by TJ Watt, ball comes out. Nick Herbig scoops and scores for 36 yards.
Okay, what down is it? What down are we talking? I feel like a first down. It feels like a first down play action goes around for the Bengals.
I like it. I'll go with that.
All right, so early fourth quarter, Pittsburgh trailing. Is this giving the lead?
Yeah. Steelers trailing gives the Steelers the lead.
1st and 10, Bengals 36-yard line, TJ Watt sack, Herbig runs it in for the go-ahead score. All right, lock it in.
If I hit that.
This will be your Mike Blowers moment.
Or anywhere close to that. But look, I think a key component to this overall with the Steelers defense is getting hits on Flacco. I really do.
No question. Not even just because of the injury, but just he's old man Flacco. But he gets the ball quick and he knows where to go with the football. And so that's going to be the cat and mouse game to try to keep him guessing or at least cover it well enough so he has to go to that second read, which he did not have to do much of in that first contest.
All right, what does this look like for a Steelers loss? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's an offense that's sputtering, an offense that can't extend the Bengals' misery. It's really the things that you talked about where the offense underperforms. Or I think the defense will get some stops, but your offense is not able to play good complementary football if they lose this game.
All right. This it's going to be a mess if we're talking about how if the Steelers lose this game, it's going to be a mess of a week, right?
Yes, even if they win it by just the margins, it's going to be okay. You beat the Bengals. Now you got everything ahead of you. It's a tough schedule down the stretch. Obviously, you take the win any way you can get it with where Pittsburgh is at, but you would like a more convincing win that at least makes you feel a little bit better, even knowing the Bengals are a little bit of a grade on a curve team, at least when it comes to their defense. Their offense is great, and if Pittsburgh can make some plays against their offense, I think you hold that up, even though Burrow's not playing in this game. But if you score, 30 on this defense and you win at 30-28, it's kind of like, all right, you expected that. Now go beat somebody else.
Is this a watershed moment point of the schedule right here for the Steelers?
What do you mean?
I mean, if you lose this, could this thing spiral? Because obviously you expect the Ravens to win. The Steelers would be 5-5 if they lose to the Bengals. The Bengals would be back in play in this. You got to go on the road against a Bears team that can get some things done offensively, and then after that you get Buffalo. You get
And
Baltimore. You still got two Baltimore. You still got who are the Dolphins. You got the Lions and all. It feels like, once again, you don't want to call this a must-win game, but it feels like a, who are you moment for the Steelers.
I don't know about that. It's a should-win type of a game, but even if you beat the Bengals, that road in front's not easy, and it's a whole lot tougher than what the Bengals generally offer. And so even if you win this game and you're 6-4, everything still hangs in the balance, and you still got to play the Bears, Bills, Ravens. What a tough stretch that's going to be. So it's a game that you need to have in your back pocket for sure. But I think regardless, you win this game, you sit there and say, okay, again, go beat a more competitive team, and you're going to face a bunch of them the rest of the way.
All right. I think we wrapped up the game there. Before we go, with Will Howard getting activated back off of IR, and a whole lot of people saying, this is some sort of sign that they want to get Will Howard playing time and all like that. I mean, let's set the record straight here. Will Howard's going to be the emergency third quarterback on Sunday against the Bengals. He's not going to bypass Mason Rudolph on the depth chart, you would think, for the rest of the season here. The only way that I can fathom Will Howard getting on the field at all during the regular season would obviously be a couple of injuries to the quarterback, or if for somehow, some way you get to week 18 and you are locked in to, let's say, the number 4 playoff spot. In other words, you win or lose against the Ravens. There's no way of increasing your playoff spot. In other words, you might think about sitting Rodgers out, and in that game against the Ravens, maybe you have Mason Rudolph start, and then in the second half, maybe you get Will Howard some playing time. That's the only way I can fathom Will Howard getting any playing time at all. And it feels like being week 18 against the Ravens. And once again, only because you're locked into, say, a number 4 spot and there's no chance of dropping it or gaining it.
Yeah, and even then, first in stadium, action against Baltimore feels pretty heavy. He's emergency third string quarterback. That's where it's likely to end up. Obviously, injuries can still change that, even becoming the backup if there's an injury, ahead of you. But this is not some sort of grand plan to find ways to get Howard snaps. He was healthy. They wanted to get him back in practice, not have the rookie season be a total wash. They like carrying 3 quarterbacks. Historically, they have. So that's kind of all the calculation. Of course, Wednesday was his final day on the window, so they did not want him to go back on IR, not be able to practice the rest of the season. So Yeah, but hearing from Howard yesterday, he all said all the
Very
right things.
excited.
Said he has a Word document writing down everything that Aaron tells him, which is I think kind of funny. So it kind of the nerd in him, but that's great. You want to learn from Aaron Rodgers. You want to learn from a guy that's who better to learn from. Most rookie quarterbacks aren't in those situations. Most rookie quarterbacks, their head coaches are fired, and you're just kind of hanging on for dear life the rest of the season. I've seen it this year with Cam Ward and now Jackson Dart. So I think Howard's in a good spot.
All right, what do you think about our buddy Chris Hoke coming out and saying if Aaron Rodgers continues to struggle going to Mason Rudolph?
I don't see a benching happening unless the bottom really falls out, and even then, I think it's ride or die with Aaron Rodgers. Captain goes down with the ship.
I agree. All right, shall we get to some emails and close it out?
Yeah, running a little long here. We can get to a couple emails and close things out. That sounds good.
Let's see here. Let's start with Brett Niles back in here from San Angelo, Texas. I was listening to your discussion about the snap disparity and the time of possession issues, and to me, this comes down to third and long. This team has given up a lot of third and long conversions on defense. They may be one of the worst third and long defenses in the league, and it's even worse than it looks because a lot of those plays that weren't conversions ended up as fourth and short, which were subsequently converted. This has got to be the worst fourth down team in the league, both in terms of percentages and sheer number of fourth downs given up, right? He asked. On offense, I know you're trying to protect a 41-year-old quarterback, but this team doesn't even try to convert third and longs. When they get in that position, it's either where does Boswell want it, or if they're not field goal range, it's a quick pass and line up to punt. They obviously never go for fourth down. So it doesn't matter if they somehow get into fourth and short. If you're giving up third and long and never converting third and long, I don't see how you ever outsnap your opponent. I don't know where this team ranks on third and long. It's obviously been great, and he's right. Aaron, we don't see them gunning for the sticks a lot on third and long situations. Do you have anything pulled up on 3rd and 7 and more league wide on StatHead or anything?
Not right now. It's been bad. It's been bottom 5 throughout the season, about 40%. So it's probably where they're sitting at still.
All right. I mean, I get all the points that he's making there. Look, this team hasn't been good on third down in general overall the last several games here. So this team does just not. One thing against the Bengals again, and what we've seen the early negativity on first and second down, be it a sack or a penalty and all like that. This team just struggles more than most in overcoming that negativity there, and that obviously has played a big part in the offensive snap numbers not being where you want them. Will they win the time of possession? Will they win the play count in this game, Alex?
Somebody has to. This is 31 and 32 in time of possession, so somebody's got to hold on to the dang football. Hopefully it's Pittsburgh. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Bryce back in here. Jalen at safety. He says, stop screwing around and put Joey on Chase all over the field. Vary the help over the top and live with the results. He says, I can take Joey getting lit up if he's given the opportunity to match him all game, but I can't take Tomlin and Austin's weird game plan and decisions that help cause defensive collapse. Please let Joey cook or sink or swim. Number 2, he says, since the bungled defense couldn't be worse than it was last game, what defensive wrinkles do you think they will try to throw at the Steelers offense this time that Tomlin and Arthur Smith need to watch out for?
Yeah, we'll see. I think maybe less is more. Pittsburgh did try a lot the last game. Some more too high. I don't know. I will see what Pittsburgh has in their bag with a whole week to kind of prepare and some more time to kind of get ready. So not 100% sure, but I think some more too high will be, again, kind of a Colts game plan is kind of what I'm expecting in this game.
All right, and as far as Bengals defensively, I don't think you're going to see a huge shift. They're not a huge pressure blitz team, so I don't think you're going to see that. I think they're going to just try to do a better job of trying to tackle the catch and be a better tackling team overall. All right, got a couple out of the way there. We got to wrap things up because of things moving along on Friday with player interviews and all. You can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button, ad-free version of the site by going to SteelersDepot.com. Hit the ad-free button, follow the directions that way. We'll be back, win, lose, or draw on Monday, wrapping all this up. Hopefully we're talking about a Steelers win. So until then, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.